Bernard Akede.
Bernard joins me now for a conversation as to what is happening at the 80th edition alongside global policy analyst Joseph Babalola. Thank you both for being here tonight. I'll start with you, Bernard. What do we need to know as this General Assembly kicks off in New York? I know there are multiple issues, but what are the key ones we have to keep in mind?
All right, thank you for having me, Felicity. Now, I think some of the key issues that we have to keep in mind, and I'll start with Africa to start with. Unfortunately, these are issues that were hammered upon last year. We're talking about insecurity. First of all, we're talking about food security. Secondly, we're also talking about climate change. Now, that's going to be a global conversation that has been ongoing for a couple of years. And now, besides that, we're going to talk about international relations between Africa and the global West, basically. And there's also going to be debt relief. We also saw parts of that particular conversation last year. We're going to have it in there. And then, of course, there are the SDGs, basically, that will largely be hammered upon. But besides all of this, there's one major one, like I mentioned lastly, in the package that you just watched, and that is having at least one African nation to have a permanent seat at the Security Council. This is something that has been a long time coming. The Secretary General of the United Nations, Antonio Guterres, did mention at the event that was hosted yesterday and today that he hopes that definitely this year we would have at least one African nation have a permanent seat at the Security Council. It's long overdue, and we're hoping that that eventually will become a reality at this 80th ceremony of the United Nations General Assembly. Besides Africa, coming to the rest of the world now, we're equally definitely going to see conversations around the Israel-Palestinian war. We're equally going to see Russia-Ukraine, which we saw last year. And then again, there's something quite interesting. Remember that our host, so to speak, President Donald Trump of the United States, this is going to be his first UN General Assembly upon his second coming as the President of the United States. So it's going to be interesting to see some of the conversations and some of the things that he's going to be talking about, besides everything else that's going to be happening. But again, we do hope to have some very interesting conversations that will not just end as a talk shop, but that will lead to some strategic policy changes.
I know that Tuesday is special for speeches, from global leaders and side sessions. What can you tell us about what is the sense you're getting as to the continued push for a United Nations Security Council seat for Africa? Is there this sense that there is unity in the push and there is maybe a consensus of which country should be on that seat?
Talking about unity for the push, as at last year, I think between last year and this year, yes, there definitely has been unity for the push, particularly from the African nations. Almost every African leader who spoke last year hammered on the fact that African countries should be given a shot at having a permanent seat at the Security Council. We spoke to Vice President Kashim Shettima last year, and I asked him personally, why do you think now is the time? He said, because we have the numbers, that's in terms of population, we have the economy, and that if Africa wasn't doing so good, and then the rest of the world wouldn't be coming our way. So there definitely is something that we're offering that's looking good. So it's about time for Africa to have that permanent seat. So in terms, again, to answer your question, in terms of unity and collaboration, I think yes, it's there. It's just left for the rest of the world to key in to this idea and this belief that Africa's time has come.
All right, let's go to Joseph for a bit. So we have the numbers. I know there are loads of priorities, but this is one thing that has been peculiar to Africa. We've always wanted this UN seat. That argument, do you think it's going to come up this time around? Is there a chance that in the face of all the issues that are going, that is requiring global attention, that this will come somewhere in the middle or at the top?
I think that this issue is actually coming up. It's time. It's time because Africa, like you said, we have the population, we have the economy, we have the mineral resources, and so many other countries, China, United States, Europe, they're all coming to Africa to actually take advantage of the mineral resources that we have. So I think it's about time that Africa actually has a voice, right? A voice that is loud, that is audible, that is respectable, right, in the United Nations. And I think that it's going to come up at this time. In terms of the actual implementation of it, it may not be exactly time, but I think that the more we talk about it, the more they actually see that there is a need to have a permanent African representative in the United Nations.
What should be Nigeria's best foot forward in this year's edition? What should be our message?
Well, I think that we should make sure that the SDGs, which is the Sustainable Development Goals, that we actually take it very, very seriously, that we actually key into it. One of the key things is AI, which is artificial intelligence. Like, you know, there is no way that even the world is going to take you seriously if you actually don't key in to artificial intelligence. There are some SDG goals that is very, very important that I think we should key into is we have to end poverty. We have to make sure that we reduce the amount of hunger that is all over Africa. We have to have healthcare. We have to have quality education. Right? We have to have some form of gender equality, right, and protections therein. And we have to have clean water and sanitation. Right, we have to be responsible consumption of production. And also in terms of climate action, right, we have to take that seriously. In terms of electrification, you can imagine a country and countries across Africa that is actually imbued with sunshine, abundant sunshine, in terms of capacity, in terms of wind production, in terms of solar production, is still very, very low. So these are areas that are opportunities. And I think that we have to start using economic resources for us and by us, in the sense that in terms of actually just exporting raw materials, we have to start turning some of the raw materials into either finished or semi-finished goods, right, for the betterment of Africa as a whole.
All right. Thank you very much for speaking with us, Joseph, and Bernard for holding forth. I'm sure we'll be coming back to you in a bit, but thank you for being here.